And we're live.
Live.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or for Reza, very, very early good morning. Thank you everyone for joining today. We are here to have a chat about what is the future of Power BI. And we also have Mike now. There you go. We got a full house. We're gonna go ahead and start with a small introduction to how our journey started into Power BI. I think we're going to talk about Power BI, the future, good, bad, I guess the movie like Good, Bad, and the Ugly. But we all love Power BI. I mean, I don't know about the rest of you. I'm pretty sure we all do. But things are changing, and what does it mean? So that's kind of the game plan. So today, no slides, nothing. It's just pure questions from that perspective. So we'll go ahead and get started with Reza. Maybe you start your introduction because you probably required the least, and then we'll kind of go around who you are, how we got to Power BI.
Sounds good. Yep. So hello, everyone. Good to be here. Thanks, Khaled, for organizing this. So I'm Reza Rad. I've been working with like Microsoft BI technologies, I don't know, for many years now. And
I think you don't even want to age yourself.
Yeah. How did I get started with Power BI? I actually remember a tough story about that. Like in one of the MVP summits, I don't know which year it was, but it was well before Power BI going GA in 2015. So it was like, I think 3 years before that, something like that, maybe 2 years before that. I remember that I've been sitting in the MVP Summit. It is a conference that Microsoft runs for only MVPs. We can't talk about anything that we hear over there because this is like in the future, what is coming. And I remember one young guy, which now I think it might have been Will Thompson, I'm not sure, who came really energetic and talked about a new cool reporting tool called Power BI Designer or something like that. That time it didn't have the name of Power BI in it. It was something like that. And if you think of it, that day, like that date, we are talking about the date that we've been building report in SSRS, like really hard to build a report in Visual Studio. And he came and showed us a tool that you can go and drag and drop build visualization, which was cool. Like everyone in the room, yeah, we want this when we can have that. And I think that was the very first edition of what Power BI would have become. In a few years, then we had Power BI Designer came out. In a few months, it became Power BI Desktop, which we know it and we all love. So yeah, it was an amazing change, and it's great to see how this evolved. So that's my starting of Power BI.
I want to throw some cred here to Reza. Reza undersold himself. If you don't notice, look at the back wall of Reza's wall here. If you can kind of see it here, there is MVP stuff across that entire wall. Reza is a legend and has been an MVP for how many years, Reza? What, remember, 35 since you were born? I think it's
No, 15, not that.
Only 15 years. So Reza is probably the most senior MVP of this group. And so I got to give you mad credit. I've been looking up to you, Reza, for many, many years, learning from you, educating from you. You are an incredible MVP, and your knowledge sharing back to the community is incredible. So Reza is a legend in this space. So
thank you. I appreciate that, Mike.
Very well said, Mike.
Nikola? You wanna go next?
Yeah. First of all, I'm into everything. I'm into everything that Mike said about Reza. Yeah, true inspiration.
Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, hi everyone, and from my side also, great to be here. Thanks, Khaled, for organizing, for inviting us. I think it's gonna be super interesting. Regarding my story about Power BI, I'm not going that back as Reza. I'm working with Microsoft Data Platform Technologies for a long time. So it's been like 2 decades or a couple of years more. But Power BI specifically, I tried for the first time in 2017. So it was already there for some time. In my company back then, someone installed Power BI as part of SQL Server Enterprise Edition license. Nobody touched it for like 6 months. It was there. And then, I started, we were using SSRS back then. And then I started creating some reports for my colleagues from customer support. They liked it. And then that's how I fell in love with Power BI. And since 2017, basically, slightly less than 10 years. Yeah, that's my story. Mike, you want to go next?
Sounds great. My name is Mike Carlo. You may have seen my website back in the day. I started back in the early days of Power BI, PowerBI.tips. So again, I follow this educating and teaching things across the ecosystem. Nikola, I got to gush on you as well, a little bit here as well. If you go to any conference and you see Nikola, you make sure you go give him a hug. He's one of the best huggers at a conference. He gives you a really good warm hug. He's such a nice guy. He's always willing to help and share. Yeah, he's gives you a good bear hug. So Nikola,
and you don't
I love
see
learning
his
from
height
you.
in this. You don't see
Yes.
like
I have to
you
look
should
up
hug
to
him
him.
like that.
It's funny, we're on camera here and everyone on camera is the same height. It's all equal here. I'm probably the shortest one of the bunch here. But I love Power BI. I love what's going on here in the ecosystem. I've also became an early adopter of Databricks and data engineering. And so then seeing Microsoft grow into Fabric and using Synapse initially has been really an advantage for me. And I'm taking a lot of my engineering. I'm actually a mechanical engineer by trade and have moved into data engineering. And now I run my own company specifically around helping organizations win with Fabric, Power BI, and data engineering. And I would say I'm going to probably be on the side of Rayfin and apps in Fabric, or Fabric as a backend to your apps. Dude, it is rocking my world right now. It's super fun to build. I'm creating tons of stuff. I've never been a SQL developer. Reza and Nikola can probably speak much more intelligently around SQL. Dude, I'm whipping out SQL databases in Fabric, let's go, another one. Let's keep making more stuff. So letting agents get more control over my Fabric is extremely useful for me. And I'm seeing a trend where agents don't give me answers about my data. It's not good at that. Agents are really good at helping me create content that answers my questions. And so I'm really in the mix of, I love this idea of the creator agent. I really want to introduce this idea of the creator agent. And so right now, a lot of what our company is doing, and we've been doing since December of this year, is building real applications on top of Fabric as a backend, both with static web apps and now with Rayfin. And we're accelerating. We see a lot of this movement moving towards build things with agents, but run them on, I'm going to call it commodity level hardware, right? Your semantic model is great, keep it. Your lakehouse is great, keep it. But don't expect your agents to go through and give you answers about last month's sales. Build reports, build regularly deterministic outputs using agents to get you those answers. Anyways, I'm maybe showing my cards here a bit. Leon, over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mike. And first and foremost, just want to echo all of your points earlier. It's absolutely fantastic to be on this panel amongst, I'm just going to say Power BI gods. I'm going to say BI and data gods. Okay, so each of you in your own right is absolutely amazing. So absolute pleasure to be here with you. In regards to my backstory, so as we were speaking about football at the beginning, before we went live, I'll just go into a bit of that. I didn't walk the traditional route into BI, data, or AI, as you call it. So I'm not university trained like most of my colleagues or peers in the industry. I actually left school and went straight to play professional football or soccer, depending on where you are in the globe. Obviously, that didn't work out, which is unfortunate for me, but fortunate for the BI data and AI world, as I since started out really as a T-SQL developer, cutting my teeth in the good old days of SAS, Tabular, MDX modeling, SSIS, integration services. The fun day, shall we say, and Reza alluded to this a little bit earlier with SSRS. I remember those days very, very well, which pretty much brought me into what would be the natural evolution of Microsoft BI technologies into Power BI, and I've never looked back since. Outside of that, I've also been a Python developer, focusing very much on AI engineering, particularly machine learning workloads. And that took me on to lead my own company, very similar to everybody else here, a company called Onyx Data. And now, as some of the other people on the call, so Reza, Nikola, Mike, and myself, Microsoft MVP, and I also regularly contribute to Forbes as part of the Technological Council and Gartner as one of their ambassadors. So, like I mentioned, really interested in how this conversation is going to pan out today. Thanks, Adam.
That's amazing. I didn't know that you are a footballer.
Not anymore, Reza.
But yeah, more footballer than anyone else, I think, in this group.
Yes, indeed. It gives me a great icebreaker, shall we say?
Yeah, we should set up a live session for analyzing the football games, Khaled, next time.
I'm for it.
Yeah, you're definitely not worse than Cole Palmer and Foden. You also not at the World Cup, right? Same as them.
By the way, I like to mention something here that probably everyone watching this already know all of you guys, but if you want to stay on top of all the news, Power BI, like Microsoft Fabric, everything, Mike got an amazing YouTube channel. He does a lot of like episodes of like analyzing the new features, what is about to come. So definitely follow him. And Nikola is fantastic in Fabric. Like he does books and blogs that, perfect. Leon has an amazing LinkedIn channel that he got like all the updates, newsletter, and Khaled, of course. You haven't introduced yourself, Khaled. Let's go to that.
Look at everybody's wall and look at mine, right? I am the only not MVP in here. But I'll give a little bit of introduction, right? So for me, I think Reza was posting something yesterday about speaking and public and whatnot, right? So I still remember in 2017. So I came across Power BI in 2016. I was a finance director. I was at a finance conference trying to figure out how the heck do I get out of this Excel hell, right? I was really good at it, but I was trying to figure out if that was the right way to go about it or not, right? So that was a challenge, right? So like as we're trying to figure this out, I see Corey Hornswick from Microsoft Finance. He showed Power BI. I'm like, what is that? So and I go ask him, and he goes, like, you can learn this. It's in Excel. It's called Power Pivot and Power Query. That's essentially my beginning of my journey. And 2017, this is Data Insight Summit. Reza, I don't know whether you remember.
Yeah.
It was way back.
I am sitting in Reza's session taking notes. You can do this? Right? I was talking to Mike at Microsoft Build. I was literally sitting on the table because my entry into the Power BI world happened with Rob Colley, P3, Austin Sensman, and whatnot, right? So I was like Mike's like, hey, Rob, look at this. I started this PowerBI.tips. I still remember. Mike doesn't remember.
This was way back.
But again, like I have, like, to be honest, like the four of you here, right? This is essentially almost like, I guess, a fangirl moment for me, right? So essentially having those, that I kind of grew up in this community, the community in Fabric and Power BI. However it changes, the community is amazing. The amount of knowledge that's being shared and whatnot, you just find the right people, follow and whatnot. But I didn't take it, like, I did not play soccer. But like me and Leon were talking about this at Build over like the table outside. But I was a finance director, I was an economics major.
Khaled, I missed Mike at Build as well. Mike, you went in incognito mode at Build. So myself, Khaled, and Reza got together. But I missed you, so I do apologize. And Khaled, sorry for jumping in.
No worries. It was quite crazy at Build. Build was a wild, very fun event. But I did 4 talks at Build. It was like constant. I was exhausted. It was 2 days. Sorry, call it over to you.
No worries. But again, like I come from finance, no coding background. From that perspective, learned my way through. Right. I was a consumer that swam upstream. I guess the fish went the dark side or light side. I don't know which side it is, but I switch sides based on who my opponent is. If I'm sitting next to IT director, I become the finance director. If I'm sitting next to finance director, CFO, I become the IT director. I've been on both sides. But again, like Mike Carlo, I got pulled into the data side. No good deed goes unpunished. I got dragged into IT to be the chief data officer. I had to go back to school and learn. So at that time in 2021, I cut my teeth on that side with Snowflake, not Databricks. I hated Synapse with a passion. I'll no holds barred. I mean, people.
It was a little bit early. It was a bit early for its time.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's early for its time. It was too complicated for its time. It was powerful but complicated, right?
Yes.
And
but
expensive for all time.
That was probably the killer for it, honestly.
Yeah.
That was probably the one that was really like, yes,
but
nail in the
now,
coffin.
Finally left corporate, now in consulting and whatnot. It's been amazing. So like right after I started, got lucky. Fabric came out. It allowed us to kind of focus. But enough about us, I guess, at this point. Let's kind of have a conversation. Maybe the first question I want to throw out there as we kind of jump right into it. What does Power BI mean for you? Like the word Power BI, like what is Power BI? I want to kind of understand this and tackle this from a ground perspective.
I'll jump in first just because I'll maybe set some laywork or groundwork here. What does Power BI mean for me, or how am I leveraging Power BI? I mean, Power BI is, I think it's the semantic model. I'm going to go after the semantics, and we'll see. I'll see how the other MVPs kind of really feel about this one.
You're building around your Raven project already. I see that.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, I mean, this is a 25-year legacy, maybe 30-year legacy of like Microsoft doing reporting analytics. Like SSRS has been there. SSIS has been around. Like these are like really solid tools that have been heavily used over time. And what Microsoft has done is they're really taking this and distilling this down for every user. Every user can start stepping in and building things. And when I look at the landscape, Khaled, you're coming from Snowflake. Leon, you're maybe doing Databricks. Nikola, you're doing everything that's amazing Spark, all the things, right? That's all on one side, prepping data for the semantic model, the business logic that we land. Everything narrows down to the semantics, period. Whether there's data in it, in a semantic model, or even just company definitions and measures. And then on the other side, we see expanding. So I think everything narrows down to semantics, and then we expand on the other side back to paginated reports and explorations and Power BI reports, and now talking to our agents with data. So there's something, when I look at the keystone of this arch, the main keystone is the semantic model. And it doesn't really matter what it is. Power BI was revolutionary in how it lets you interact with data. And that's just my perspective on things. I'll pause there and let other people jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can echo off the back of that. I think you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say Power BI to me means simplifying the BI layer and the visualization layer as well. What Microsoft did is use the existing Vertipack engine, or the tabular model, however you want to look at that underlying semantic technology, wrapped it up into a visualization tool with Power Query off the back of that, and they made it really simplistic and easy to get started. Key being get started. I think we're all familiar with Power BI users falling off a cliff of complexity as part of their journey, but the key was they enabled everybody to get started very easily. And I think to a certain extent, they've rinsed and repeated that methodology with introducing Fabric as well, at least from the ease of getting started perspective. So for me, Power BI really enabled users who weren't maybe as technical as myself, using multiple tools like Mike alluded to, integration services, analysis services, etc., and really gave them that natural progression from the tools they were using, like Excel, to be able to go on this journey.
Yeah, for me, first, let's say I'll try to summarize this in a couple of words. So for me, it's simplicity and power first that comes to my mind. As I said, as someone who worked with SSRS, having a chance to work with Power BI, for me, this mantra of 5 minutes to wow was absolutely spot on. So I really felt like this after trying Power BI. And over the years, I think it evolved, it grew in such a broad product, I would dare to call it like a full stack product. So combining all of these features that we have right now, I would argue that it's a full stack product that covers all the components of what used to be a BI tool, that the BI landscape that was fragmented back then. So that was for me, that's the first association with Power BI.
Yeah, for me, it was, I think, perhaps like the self-service part of it, because before that, we could have built semantic models. We would have built it in the Visual Studio, of course, or SSDT or BIDS, whatever those names were those times. We could have built reporting visualizations using SSRS or any other tools, but it was never this simple. It was never this easy. Like Power Query was a separate thing. It was not part of the whole Power BI project itself. The visualization wasn't drag and drop. And when you look at the Power BI user community these days, a lot of them are not actually BI developers. They come from finance background, like what you said, Khaled. They come from like business background, but Power BI gave them this capability to go and build the self-service analysis that they want, that we didn't had before. And that made a huge difference, because when you look at the BI community at large, the BI developer community is like much smaller compared to the whole bigger self-service community, which is why Power BI and other self-service tools became like so fast in adoption.
All right, so let me kind of speak from
one other thing is that
go ahead,
it was also in the comments that Power BI make you lose your hair. You can.
I was going to show that part. Hold on.
All of us. Mike and Leon, you're almost there.
Almost there, guys. Almost there.
Indeed, we're hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, you guys got to catch up.
You're still not that experienced with Power BI.
Yeah, you need a little bit
It's
more.
DAX. Power BI is great. It's the DAX is where my hair is gone. That's where the hair went.
Let me give you like a different opinion a little bit, right? So I think this is from, I think the way I look at it is there's two sides of it, right? So think about, for majority of the world, I think Power BI still means the interactive dashboard. I think for, as kind of Reza was mentioning, like it made it so easy. Like first time, even when I saw Power BI in 2016, see, finally we get to the point we can say we have decade experience, and then Power BI is going somewhere else. Decade experience.
But Khaled, recruiters still ask for 20 years of Power BI experience. No matter
Exactly. Well, I mean, even on this call alone, I mean, the experience that we have here, just talking here amongst us, 50 plus years of experience working with Microsoft data products, maybe even much larger than that as well, if we totaled up all of our hours here.
Remember, I beat all you guys in Excel.
Yeah, agreed.
Fair.
But going back to the point, like I said, but when I first saw it, even it was the interactive nature, the reason executives and the consumption, right? It's the report layer that kind of drove the adoption, right? It was so easy and whatnot. I think that's like in general world, the definition of Power BI is this interactive report dashboard, right? So I think that is my opinion, like from outside world, but to me, Power BI's superstar is the semantic model. So like once I realized that it is literally running SSAS, multidimensional and whatnot, right? So the reason, the speed and whatnot. So for me, Power BI superstar is the semantic model, but I think for majority of the world, the Power BI is the clicky clacky. How does it, Chris say it?
Clicky, draggy, droppy.
Yeah.
You have to use it with the license, Christian.
Yeah, exactly. MT, TM, or whatever, trademarked.
Yeah, TM.
So I think that's kind of the biggest change I can think of, right? So I think if your definition of Power BI is the report layer, you're in for
too
awakening.
small. Yeah, it's too small. But think of this: that what Microsoft did here at the moment of releasing Power BI Desktop. Anytime you wanted to use analysis services, and I'm going to pick on some of the people who were before me in the SQL land. If you wanted to run analysis services, you had to go buy a server, a SQL license. Like all that was gated. None of that existed as a free tool. And so here's right. So there was a moment that happened for us, and I still get goosebumps because like this was like ridiculously crazy that this happened. Power BI Desktop came out. Inside Power BI Desktop, they bundled the entire semantic model. The analysis services engine was given to people for free. That was fuel on a fire that really needed to happen, right? Other companies at the time, it was like Tableau, and they're doing like SQL and running SQL against servers, which again, it worked effectively well, but the speed of which the analysis services engine could be given. And I think the decision point for me was every business user in the company get your own copy of analysis. I think of like an Oprah episode. You get an analysis services and you get analysis services. And everyone's like, yeah, get analysis services. You didn't understand that's what you were getting, but you were already being given that in Excel with like the Power Query system. And so they just kind of repackaged it, put it in an actual application and gave it away for free. And I think that was the acceleration that we needed to really see like, wow, this is going to greatly shift what we do. And it doesn't fundamentally change anything we do about data warehousing or storage or Snowflake, Databricks. None of that stuff I think is different. It's still all the same kind of language. It's just that we were given this really exciting, hyper fast tool. And to me, that's the edge that Microsoft needed at that time to kind of really propel this forward. Everyone can build analysis services models.
Yeah, and simplicity actually, because like what you mentioned, if we wanted to have analysis services before, we had to install the server separately, and we had to install the client tool to go and build that, like whatever solution we are going to build. Building the solution was like a project, a lot of complication, but now you just install Power BI desktop, you have everything, right? It's much simpler, like everyone got their own like analysis services, but yeah, that simplicity, that made a big difference in adoption.
I am the proof of that. I don't know whether I'm the early bird or the early worm. All right, so let me touch a sensitive topic. This was very sensitive for 24, 25-ish. Like, what did Fabric do to Power BI? Because there's a lot of sentiment in the middle saying that like the focus on Fabric has derailed Microsoft from the focus on Power BI and whatnot. But
what
I think
Power BI did to Fabric?
you and I, we all know that. But
I think I agree more with Nikola's comment.
About Power BI.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree with that. I would probably say what Power BI did to Azure and the Azure data layer, and to be fair, a little bit the AI data, the AI layer in Azure as well. That would probably be my steer on that. I'll be very interested to see what the future of some of those tools in Azure looks like with Fabric's acceleration, shall we say.
The billing model also greatly changed from how we perceive and use Azure to generate things. Azure was very much a pay-as-you-go model, right? You turn on this resource, it's kind of, you spend for compute, and you bill as you go along. Fabric had this really interesting new model around, you buy a dedicated capacity, and that you could run that capacity as much as you wanted. So the pricing model really shifted here as well for organizations and became much less of a sizing issue. I know Reza knows this one probably from the SQL days, but like you buy the server, like what size server should I need? How many transactions? What's the database size? More and more. So there's a lot of like, there was a lot of effort spent to figure out what's the right sizing of things. And now when I walk into every client, it's like, let's start at F2. Let's start the smallest thing you got, because it's almost zero effort to move you up to the next needle or the next level or the next effort. Let's evaluate your balance between value from the platform to value for your organization. And I think there's a lot of sentiment that Fabric has absorbed most of what Power BI was doing. The energy that's going there is now moving into Fabric. I do think Synapse was an attempt at this initially, but Fabric is the right way to go about this moving forward, because without lots of data, Power BI is good, but it's not ultimately what organizations need. And I think what this is doing for me is, instead of just being that business user analyst individual that's leveraging Power BI and analysis services, this is just given extra tooling to the broadest part of your organization. The entire sales team can now use a full stack. Hey, we've got some data in a service in the cloud. We want to pull it in. We can start grouping it together. Like, this really extends the entire business capability. And I think that's where I'm really excited about Fabric, is how it's so rapidly expanding in the same way Power BI gave business analysts the ability to create interactive reports. Fabric is now giving data capability to an entire department and organization with much less knowledge, know-how, knobs that need to be turned.
Yeah, I agree with what Nikola said, that like what Power BI did to Fabric, because I would say that if Power BI didn't exist, there was no Fabric, right?
Agree.
We had the Power BI, like everyone started building their own solutions. Then after a few years, we had like silos of Power BI here, there. There was no governance. Like we started advising people to go the right route, to go and build your ETL first, data flow first came along, if you remember, before Fabric. Go and then build your semantic model on top of data flow. Like I remember that data flow discussion we had with Khaled like a long time ago. Build your semantic model on top of data flow, and then build your reports, like make it like a layered implementation so that you can have a better governance, then put it in your workspace, separate these. So we started advising people to do it in the right way. And that was evolving how the Fabric is going to be, right? Fabric gives you exactly that. Fabric gives you like different components, your data flow, your pipeline. You can even bring your data into a lake house or warehouse, then your semantic model. So this is exactly how this should have been at the first place, but bringing that before bringing Power BI would have added a lot of complexity, and probably Power BI wouldn't have this adoption. So this is, I think, the natural way that this would have ended anyway. Power BI first, get everyone adopted with this. Now let's build it into an environment that can have a really good governance.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts? My personal opinion, right? So like the way I looked at it, I think Nikola nailed this one, right? So essentially Power BI was this big capability wise. In terms of capability, Azure is probably way big, but the user base was different. The user base of Power BI was the biggest one out there after Excel, right? And they just jammed Fabric, the entirety of the Azure data stack within Power BI and called it Fabric. That's how I look at it, right? For me, I think Fabric, but think about this, right? So there is another concept like coming from like the business side of things called job to be done. Right? What job are you trying to do? Is my affiliation to a tool or the job it's fulfilling, right? So same thing like how SSAS and stuff like that evolved into Power BI. I think Power BI is evolving into Fabric at this point. That's how I kind of look at it. And I think it's for a good reason, right? So even was a chief data officer, right? I ripped out Synapse, SAP, bunch of other stuff to put Snowflake in because I needed a data backend. I needed a way to centralize my data and whatnot. Microsoft, we didn't have that in Power BI. We, like, Reza remembers this, right? Me and Reza sitting trying to build this elaborate linked data flows and all kinds of stuff in 2018 to make that work. It didn't work, right? So from that perspective, Power Query is amazing. I love Power Query, right? I love Power Query and whatnot, but we could not share data. Power BI is designed to share insight, not data, right? So we were doing things repeatedly, could not share stuff and whatnot. I think from that perspective, Power BI still has Power Query, but the Dataflow Gen 2 has the full Power Query unleashed in full scale. If you like SQL, Spark, and whatnot, you get all of that, right? So from that perspective, I thought Power BI's limitation on getting data in and staging and whatnot, that got completely liberated. Right, so I think we can do whichever skill set. And the star of the show for me always have been Power BI semantic model. And I think Power BI semantic model is, in my opinion, is still gonna be like I don't think Microsoft planned this, but they hit a perfect intersection of AI readiness and all that stuff with Power BI semantic models. The reports future, I do not know much. But that's kind of my little opinion.
I want to kind of like really point on, I think there's too much friction in Azure. You really kind of have to know what you're doing in order to get multiple components to work together correctly. This is a story that I hear a lot from like the leadership of the Fabric team and particularly the Microsoft team, which is stuff should just kind of work together, right? I shouldn't have to spend a lot of time going from blob storage accounts to Spark to a semantic model. Like these things all make sense to fit. Another moment for me was an aha moment when Microsoft really started adopting, obeying, I don't know how you want to kind of like land it here, but when Microsoft really started saying, we're going to use the Delta format, I think Power Query or the data flows was a great idea to begin with, but I hated that it was CSV files. I couldn't stand that it was CSV files. Just threw me for a loop. So I felt like that was entirely the wrong direction. And I remember distinctly having a conversation with Chris Webb. I was at, I think it was Power BI Next Steps conference over in Copenhagen. And I'm talking with Chris Webb and he's telling me these things. He's like, what would be good for you for data flows? And I said, I really want Delta tables. And he was just like, okay. And he kind of just like sat on it. And lo and behold, that's what they were building behind the scenes was, Delta tables and Parquet and columnar storage and how similar that is to the semantic model. Months later, they released Fabric and this stuff starts coming out the door. So, this whole idea of linking everything together, I think is incredibly powerful. Every other product out in the market right now is chasing the semantic layer at some level. All the other companies that are out there, Databricks, Snowflake, anyone company that's worth their beans is trying to get that together. Where I think Microsoft needs to kind of accelerate here a bit more is they need to double down on the semantic model experience. One challenge my customers are having right now as I think about Power BI in this ecosystem is think about the definition of those KPIs, the definition of the sales table, the definition of the customers table. I can write queries with that via a semantic model, DAX, relationships, business logic. But how would I write the equivalent statement in SQL? Microsoft has this internal problem right now is there's piles of really good data, but there's very little way for me to share knowledge or information or that business logic between the semantic model layer and the SQL layer. And so this is an area that I think that they're going to have to really improve in to continue to stay very competitive in what I'm going to now coin the enterprise semantic model, right? It needs to move.
Ontology.
Don't tell me you love ontology.
I didn't tell. I love them. No.
Ontology to save my life right now. You are like the Microsoft like product child here. So Nikola, I will agree with you. In concept, the ontology makes sense.
I'm talking about concept. What you mentioned, like having this unified semantic meaning between SQL, DAX, everything.
100%.
Ontology. I'm not
100%.
telling that I love ontology. Not yet. Maybe not yet.
They'll get there.
Not yet.
Hopefully no one from Microsoft is in the audience.
Well, you know what? I don't care if they hear anyways. I told them to their face. I said, look, the ontology thing is impossible to use. I don't understand why it exists, and I can't see the value from it. So they have to prove the story here. But I think, but to your point, Nikola, I think you're right on the money here, which is if I can't understand a semantic model, and I can't migrate my business logic between ontologies, semantic models, and SQL, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about enterprise semantics. And this is where I like what Snowflake is kind of stepping into here, which I hope Microsoft does eventually, which is the Open Semantic Interchange, the OSI standard. Just recently announced, makes a ton of sense, and allows me to build DAX measures right alongside relationships between tables. So it shouldn't matter if I go after lakehouse tables with relationships. I should be able to write a SQL statement and build an entire semantic model from common definitions. Like that should be possible. And we're just on the cusp of this. Shameless pitch here. I don't know if you guys use external workloads, but I have one called Power Designer. Power Designer has a new workload item called lineage. You can grab a semantic model, pull it into the lineage, and then you can create an OSI document on top of it automatically. And so this is where I think things need to go. We're going to get there, but these team members, these people here, we are the invisible hand that kind of guides Microsoft, like, your messaging isn't right. Ontologies are hard to use. If I can't understand a model and semantics, there ain't no way you're going to throw an agent at it and get the same results or get good results anyways.
Yeah, I'd
I
agree
want
with
to
that.
add something on top of this that, sorry, Leon, just one thing on top of this that like with Fabric, this idea of building all these separate components, building the right data engineering process, the right BI layered structure process, these are all great. And we all love that because we come from the BI background. But one thing we all need to consider is that the larger Power BI community don't have that background. Right, the larger Power BI community are self-service users, and a lot of them don't even use service. We have customers that they just use Power BI Desktop to build their solution, and they also show that solution in the Power BI Desktop to their users. Like, this is a report I built, and that is going to stay like that for a while because like that simplicity, that capability that this gave to the users, imagine they've been building this in Excel before, right? Now Power BI gave them a better way to do that. So I wouldn't say Fabric would kind of like change that. That still remains there. Those users would still use Power BI as it was. They might think that Power BI is left behind now. Microsoft is focusing a lot on Fabric, but when you think of it, like Power BI pretty much has everything that we want, right? The semantic model has pretty much everything. The visualization, we have plenty of visualization. So that was like the natural way that this would have evolved to. Doesn't mean that Power BI was like left behind. Now we are moving to Fabric. Power BI is still there.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And I think I'll go back to Khaled's first point and to the original question is, I think that Power BI becomes, I'm going to call it the prom queen of Fabric, the centerpiece. And by that, I don't mean all of Power BI. I agree with Khaled in that the semantic model, the tabular model becomes the centerpiece of Fabric. And Mike, you're totally right. There's always a lot of work to do. If we go back to the original days of Power BI and that evolution that's happening, we're pretty much on that same trajectory with Fabric at the moment. And with the constant influx, shall we say, of feature releases that are happening, that evolution is only ever going to increase. And Microsoft are very, very aware of this. But I think for developers, it's a different story. And we've approached this from both aspects, from those enterprise developers and organizations that want to be that frontier intelligence that Microsoft alludes to, and also what Reza's alluded to in the fact of those citizen developers as well, right? Those likes coming from Excel, etc., who are still kind of finding their place with Power BI and Fabric, because there's still a large amount of organizations that are using Fabric just by name. And for all intents and purposes, underneath they're just replicating what they were doing in Power BI previously and aren't aware of lakehouses, warehouses, ontologies, IQ, etc. So I think that because you have this vast array, shall we say, of users that are spread across this journey, it's going to be very difficult to be able to accommodate every single point of that journey for all users. But personally, I think Microsoft are doing a fantastic job, especially in such a competitive ecosystem. And Mike, the point I was going to come back to was on your standardization. I think we are getting there. Apache Spark, like you mentioned, is probably the first point, the first port of that, which we're seeing across the industry. And I see standardization becoming more commonplace. And in particular, the interesting thing for me is that lots of these standardizations across the big players are becoming open source, not closed and not closed IP. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on this.
Leon, you're making some incredible points here. And I think I want to double down on what you just mentioned, which is the users that are coming to this in very different levels of experience, right? I came at this from a mechanical engineer level, not technical in any nature. Khaled came at this from like a snowflake and technical and data engineering perspective. Like,
one correction, Excel.
Excel, business user, like,
Excel.
I mean, but to your point though, we're looking at a framework that is like giving more capabilities to developers, like Git integration. What the heck is Git? How do I track changes? We know we need it, but you don't know you need it until something breaks and it falls over and you're like, oh shoot, I just wasted a whole weekend rebuilding a semantic model or a table because it just trashed itself. Like, we didn't know what we were doing. I overwrote something. So I think we're seeing like the tooling we're getting here, the same capability we're given with Power BI of like, hey, every user, we're distilling very complex things down into a tool that's more user friendly. And I see the same thing happening for Fabric, which is more developers can come in. Oh, pipelines, great. Clicky and make some nodes, and this makes sense logically for me. Less technical than writing straight Python code throughout the whole thing. And then I'm going to go even further, and here's where I'm going to lose people, probably. Agents now on top of all this. There's a revolution coming for data engineering and agent usage. I think it's huge. I don't write notebooks in Spark anymore. My agents write them all. I review them. I mean, the amount of DAX I don't write, agents know how to do it. I'll let them figure it out. And they know every line of SQL, T-SQL, the Oracle SQL, any SQL. I can't know the code any better than an agent anymore. And so I'm trying to figure out my work isn't going away. It's greatly shifting towards how do I not write code anymore and allow agents to, again, all those different audiences. How do I bring agents in to help educate our teams around this is what DAX does? Write me 6 different versions of DAX. Run a performance test on all of them. Which one is the most efficient? Now I can go back to my model and add that tested DAX. Now, does all this tooling exist today? No, it does not. There's things, I think we're getting there, but we're on the next acceleration, the X elbow of we're going to give more complicated tooling to more audience. And we're all going to have to rise up and learn more about what are these best practices. And we're bringing developer good practices to this space, but a lot of people don't understand it yet.
Yeah, the AI kind of, AI kind of changing it, I think, like closing the gap between like you had to be like a developer.
We lost Reza for a second.
He was just going to get to the really good point.
Applications with AI.
Sorry,
Reza. You missed all that, Reza. We just lost you for like 30 seconds. You might have to say
that's okay. So I was saying that before AI, you had to be like either developer or like the user community. Now that closes the gap. AI makes everyone a developer because like you can do vibe coding, things like that. Another thing I wanted to mention is that I think I'm talking too much here. Nikola, with wealth of knowledge on Fabric, is not talking that much.
I'm listening, guys, from you, and then it's really appreciate your perspective. So that's for me.
He's gonna tell us we're all wrong.
No, not
You're
at all.
all wrong. It's all junk. Just don't listen to them.
Just
use ontologies.
Not at all. I'm afraid you won't hear this from me, but anyway. No, I mean, I think we started with a very important topic of how Power BI evolves in this era of AI, and I think we can like stay here for maybe 10 hours talking just about this single topic. So I absolutely agree with both of you with some tweaks here and there. So yes, this journey from having a working solution is now way shorter than it used to be, because agent can write 100 DAX measures in 5 minutes or 20 notebooks in 5 minutes. I think the shift is happening in terms that producing artifacts is an easy thing now. So it's a commodity. It's a commodity now that artifacts can be produced fairly quickly, and I think the more important thing right now is human in the loop who controls these artifacts. And one of my thinkings before this, before we started this session, is like how this translates into skills, because people are approaching. I am sure they are approaching all of you with the same questions, like which skills stay, which skills I should be afraid if I'm going left behind, and so on. So that's something that I was thinking about in this era of vibe coding, and I would say essentially what vibe coding is really good at is, as you guys said, creating a lot of code, creating a lot of artifacts quickly. But I can tell you from my experience, because I'm also heavily using these agents nowadays. I like to call this phenomenon. Yes, of course.
We converted you.
I call this phenomenon confidently wrong code. So
Ooh.
it's syntactically correct, but if you don't, let's say, if you don't guardrail your agents in creating all these artifacts, then you are in trouble. So that's why I say confidently wrong, because syntax is correct. When you scroll through it, read through it, everything looks good. You run the pipeline, all green check marks, life is good. But then all of a sudden you figure out that your table has 10,000 more records than it should. And then when you go back and try to figure out what happened, probably, not probably, but definitely the agent didn't have specifications set right. So I like these specifications, call them guardrails. Like you have a junior colleague and you told them, look, this is a slowly changing dimension type 2. You need to pick up only current values, for example. That's one of the examples. Or, I can give a couple of these examples. So if you don't give these examples, you can create 100 store procedures in 10 minutes and put them, they will all work, but they will cause chaos. So my point is here, yes, writing a code is super easy right now. It's not a commodity anymore. And the shift is happening in terms of skills that are safe, at least for now. Who knows what happens in the next 6 months or 1 year. But as of now is this, let's say, critical way of thinking and putting these guardrails as your number one priority if you're vibe coding.
Yeah, one thing that AI is about, I think, or let's say not is about, but one thing you'll notice with AI is that it is super confident even when it is wrong, right? We probably all need to learn that competency level. But like you say, 2 multiply 2, it would say 5, and it would argue why 5 is the right answer, right? So you have to be still knowing that concept. You have to review it. You have to tell when it is wrong, that this is wrong, go and fix it. And I would say, sorry, I will fix it for you, right? So anyway, but I think this is a good steering point for talking about what AI did to Power BI, Khaled, right?
Yeah, I think there was a point from Marcin. I want to kind of wrap a few things together, right? Like, for example, data mart got killed, right? I just thought, I want to kind of bring all this together, right? So for example, data flow did not work out, data mart did not work out, right? But if you look at Dataflow Gen 2, if you look at the Lakehouse Warehouse experience, they are from Datamart. They set the tone, even for those of us that I even created a website called PowerBI.tips.com. I mean, talk about burning cash, right? But one of the things I want to kind of wrap both what Reza and Nikola said, AI hallucinates, right? And it does it very confidently. But the flip side of it is that the skills are more democratized. Someone like me would not create a lakehouse. I had data engineers on my team that dealt with Snowflake, not me. But your same Dataflow Gen 2 skill works on Fabric. That means the concept of medallion design, all this other stuff is not restricted to data engineers. That has been democratized, right? Finally, I don't know how to write anything in Spark, except I have quite a few Spark notebooks now. I built the Dataflow Gen 2. I had the agent copy and test against the Dataflow Gen 2 output to make sure that it was not confidently wrong. Right? So, as Reza put it, right, the next question is the future vibe coding?
I think vibe coding, so just to add to my previous points, I think vibe coding, it at first glance it makes things it makes you think the things go faster. But if you think a little bit deeper, so there is still a bottleneck. Previously, the bottleneck was writing a code, right? So now this is not a bottleneck anymore. Now the bottleneck is code is written super fast, but then someone needs to review that.
Testing.
Right? So it just shifted the bottleneck from the build time to review time. That's my opinion about vibe coding. So it's still, let's say in total, yes, we are building things faster, but do we build things better? That's questionable. Because if you do a thorough review, if you do a proper review, then I think it's almost somewhere very close. Yeah.
I want to kind of tease this point here a little bit, Nikola. I like what you're going with this one. I think this is really important. And I do think you're right. The mile markers have moved. You know, testing is the next major hurdle we're going to figure out. But I really do think, you know, we've done some really aggressive projects around, people have given us apps that people have built. Again, I'm talking applications. So we're not talking about like Power BI and data engineering. Again, I think data engineering is a little bit more of a unique animal in the testing aspect. But for application development, we've taken on some aggressive projects where companies have been building apps for a year and a half, and we rebuilt it in a month or two, like the core functionality. So the amount of like this, what's shifting for me is the speed in which I can iterate on those things is now greatly improved. Now, so I agree with you in a lot of ways. Like, hey, we have this capability of we can make the pipeline, we can make the notebook, but is it right or wrong? I'd rather be spending my mental capacity on getting better at giving it good upfront requirements. And I think what everyone will agree on this one is we're in a moment where we're trying to learn how to Google again. And that's my analogy. In the early days of Googling, I didn't know how to Google. Google didn't know what I wanted. It gave me stupid results. I'd go through pages of stuff not finding what I wanted. But I learned how to Google. I changed how I learned. Google got better at how it did what its job was. And we're in the same effect right now where the models are getting better. And the major influence of a good model is not the model. It's actually the harness. And so if you're not the large language model, you're the harness. And the harness makes so much difference in like how well these agents work and how well they work with your stuff here. So I'm really pro agent. I'm really pro this is going to be the future, but I'm not by any means ready to throw out Power BI. Do I want to go into Power BI desktop and build visuals by clicking and dragging things? Absolutely not. I do not want to do that anymore. I want to tell the agent, use these columns. Again, it goes back to like, what do I know about the information? Like, can I take my years of knowledge of DAX and report building and give it better instructions to say, I need you to build 6 different visuals laid out like this with these exact dimensions and these measured on them. Go do it. That's where I can really start tweaking my workflow and producing things much faster. So I think in that regard, I agree with you 100%. We're confidently wrong with agents, but as we learn, as the agents get better, as the harnesses get better, we're going to spend more and more time using the agents. I'm going to go back to creator agent. That's the key. Use the agents to help you build the report. Build lots of them. Build 10 of them. Test them all. Which one runs best? Like the friction to build more stuff with agents has almost gone to zero. That's the part I really want to lean on. Yeah.
And I think Kirill, I'm reading comments. So Kirill made a great point. What I learned is no one has all of their requirements up front. And that's exactly what you've been talking about, Mike. Iteration.
Yes. Yeah.
So I
Iterate
forgot
faster.
to tell you that it's slowly changing dimension type 2. Next time I include this in my skills, next time you know that it's slowly changing dimension type 2. So iteration, and then where I see this in the future, just for people not getting me wrong, not that the human needs to review 200,000 lines of code, obviously not, but human to give a proper instruction so that agent can review these 200,000 lines of code. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and with those iterations, I would also add that anything with AI, we have to have a really proper version control for every single change, because like tomorrow AI might wipe out your entire code and you lose everything. So better to have version control of everything, every single step. With those iterations combined, this would get you to an interesting result, but without it, it probably wouldn't. One other thing I would also like, maybe I'm steering this conversation, Khaled, stop me if I'm if I'm hijacking this.
Remember, this is no holds barred, right? That's what this is about.
Yeah, we are all excited about AI. So when it comes, we jump ahead and we talk about like what is the next generation of using AI. But probably we should start from this: that who would build Power BI solutions in this new age of AI manually? Do you think that there would be some people going and building that still, or everyone would go and use AI to do that?
I think you could, because I'm the least technical out of all of you. I'll answer that one. How about that?
Lies, all these lies.
So the way I look at it is vibe coding the future? No. But is using agents or this AI technology is the future for sure. Let me kind of explain my own experience, right? Copilot, the feature came out in Power BI about 2 years ago, right? And then you can ask it and it will build you a page of dashboard that nobody can ever use. It was almost as bad as, remember we used to have the Power BI to see your data insights. And do you remember that in Power BI? I was like, okay, yeah, I'll put it in models. Like, it tells you insights. Like, I don't think any of them are insights to me that I would want to know about.
Yeah. Did you know that the number of sales go up for cumulative total for 12 months, and number 12th month is the highest amount of sales? Like, it's a cumulative total. Of course, it's good. Like, it's like these. They're like, I don't even understand what you're doing.
So now, like, take that versus now that Microsoft is releasing the agent skills for Power BI and things like that, and how it works. Right? We're probably a little bit tilted as a group. I don't think I am not throwing shades at you, Leon, but I don't know I know for sure Reza, Nikola, and I struggle looking report pretty. That is not my skill set.
Agents should do that for you, but this is the point. Like, there's things that we're good at, but we should throw agents at things. Like, this is exactly where we build a lot of our tooling around in workloads. I love that, but that's a great opportunity for like. I can't even build good stuff.
Use pie chart.
or donut chart.
Exactly.
Donuts are for eating. Pies are for eating.
I mean, we've all leaned on this, regardless of how pro-dev we've been in our careers. We've all leaned on some form of development enhancement, whether that's an external tool in Power BI, IntelliSense, in choose whichever tool you want of an IDE, etc. We've all utilized, and humans have done this throughout our whole history, tools to make ourselves more efficient, okay? Which is pretty much what artificial intelligence is currently doing in its current guise. So I expect that to continue. Fabric is being made, in my opinion, into an AI native platform. We see this across all of the MCP servers, the APIs that are being made available, the huge amount of metadata that's being surfaced. So Nikola, just coming back to your previous point on agentic engineering. So at my organization, we're actually delivering production, what we call agentic swarms for organizations that then take over that data engineering aspect, okay? Utilizing Azure Foundry, and those engineers, for all intents and purposes, are digital employees. So they can make pull requests, they can log user stories, etc., and they can build out notebooks, etc., etc., etc.
Amazing.
So that is working. You're absolutely right. Governance is so key to this, and having somebody or multiple people of the experience levels for all of those good enterprise development areas that we've just touched on, UAT, peer reviews, acceptance testing, QA, so on and so forth. Okay, all of that good stuff comes from having somebody experienced and having those frameworks in place in the organization. and then guiding the artificial intelligence. And typically, the best way that we've looked at this is actually using what we call specialized models. So not using a 5, for example, or a GPT X point whatever release they're on, but really fine tuning a model to say, okay, here is your corpus of material on, for example, Delta Parquet. Okay, that particular agent becomes your specialist in Delta Parquet, for example. Then, for example, having one that's a Python or a PySpark there, and so on and so forth throughout all of those skills. Then when you bring those together, as you would in a traditional development team, with either your principal, senior, and so on and so forth through that hierarchy, you can land in a really, really good place with agentic development currently. You still obviously would have to have a human in the loop, and it's something that we always recommend. Again, with Git the way it is, and CI/CD within DevOps, you can utilize YAML to hold all of your context directly within Fabric, within your Lakehouse file storage, and then really you're serving that context directly to the agent. So I think we're there already, to be honest, and we have this in solutions which customers are currently using daily. I think the goal, and one of the points I was going to come back to earlier for one of Mike's earlier points, is that it's such a fantastic time to be alive as somebody involved in data, AI, and as a previous developer. I mean, to be honest, I got bored of development. I feel reinvigorated in being able to develop again in this day.
Same.
And for one point, well, Mike, I think you're all going to agree with me here, at least I hope so, is that throughout all of our careers, we've had to fight battles with organizations in delivering products, solutions, where everybody wants to see the end result. Nobody cares about the data engineering, the semantic layer, etc., the governance, the quality. It's when do I get my report? When can I be able to analyze this metric? So on and so forth. Whereas in today's day and age, organizations are so much more data literate, maybe not AI literate, but data literate, and with a much better data culture, that they're actually asking, how can we make our data layer improved? How can we ensure we're landing the right data in the right places and it's governed? And these are conversations that were so difficult to have years ago, and they're now at the forefront of the discussions we're having. So it's a great time if you ask me.
I am excited too. I don't know if anyone else here, if you guys are feeling the same thing I am, but before I had like 2 or 3 side projects that were kind of running, right? I did a little app here, a little something there. I blink around with some things. AI has just taken that to like the nth degree. And now I have like 70 side projects, and now none of them are complete. And there's all these little half-baked ideas all over the place because it's so easy to create. So I believe we're entering into a new era, right? If I saw a very funny meme earlier, which was there were very few people that could write code. And then there was a lot more people that would administrate or manage the team. And then there was very few people that like a very large audience that consumed this really monolithic product, right? So the amount of people that consumed a final software product was large, right? And then as you went further up into the more technical space, the teams got smaller and smaller and smaller. I think we're seeing the reverse effect. And I see it in my own work. The fact that my agents are now my technical team, any idea, the time from idea to working prototype has been reduced to almost nothing for me. And so now I can quickly iterate on these things very fast and get really good ideas out there. The challenge for me now becomes, how do I finish them? What does done look like? I've done enough to get it to work for me. And what does that look like moving forward? And I'm really excited about Fabric as a backend. No one's really talking about this one. This is where Rayfin comes into play here. The amount of frustration I get from going to Salesforce or LinkedIn or even SharePoint for that matter. I mean, there's some hooks there that you can make it easier, but anytime my data doesn't live in Fabric, I get angry. I just hate it. I can't stand it. And so I've become an app aficionado snob, maybe what I would, if that button color doesn't, I don't like that button color, man, I really wish that app would do this. I go over to my agent, okay, here's all my screenshots, rebuild this whole app and give me a blue button, right? Or something silly like that, right? I'm taking on really big development tasks now to get out a really customized output. And so all this to say is, I think we're moving into an era of hyper customization. Everything is going to be designed for exactly what you need to do. And we've talked a little bit about like agents and large language models and harnesses. I think if you stand back at your business or your job and look at the workflows that you do, every single workflow you do will have some sort of impact or agentic experience inside that workflow. And I think the next wave, I think what Leon, you already touched on with building solutions and AI employees or engineering employees that are like doing pull requests and actually making real code changes. You're already observing this idea of everything now is going to be hyper customized. Every workflow is going to be exactly what you want it to be. And we're not going to get any less work. If anything, we're going to build 10 times more apps. We're going to build 10 times more code. We're going to build 10 times more data. This is just growing. And so all agents are doing is giving us the more capability to do this at scale. And great. I don't really love buying Power Apps a second license. I'd rather just do it all in Fabric and just have all my data reside in Fabric in systems that I can just go use. I'm building apps that run and notebooks that adjust the data behind the scenes. This is wonderful. It's super easy to use. So this is where I think things are going. We're just going to be able to build and create more. And this is going to continue to emphasize how important is the semantic model. We're going to need to have a semantics layer that is so incredibly strong with proper testing.
I'm going to try, let's kind of go to the next question, but it's almost the same question. But I'll start with I was at Build, met Mike, Leon, and Reza was like, what are you doing here? Because Reza knows me for a long time. Build is a developer conference. It's like, what in the world am I doing over there, right? And guess what? Build made a developer out of me, right? So I have Rayfin applications running in production right now, right? That I don't want to go too much into detail about.
Risky. It's in preview. Risky. I love it though.
But the concept, right? So I had a concept of, Rayfin is not the star of the thing, right? The star of it is my actually own finance background and skills, right? I built my accounts receivable skill. So right now for data crafters, every single customer follow-up for invoices and stuff like that is generated by that agent. The agent needs validated data. He cannot go ahead and chase an invoice that doesn't exist. Semantic model gives you that, right? I needed to give it context because there are customers that never pay late. So if they're a day late, that means we need to do a follow-up. Just, hey, nice thing. Do you need something? And there are ones that are always late. They will pay late and whatnot. So these are comments, the human context I need to feed it, right? So what the Rayfin app does is only takes the semantic model, creates the SQL table that I can write notes on. And that is fed back straight into Copilot Cowork with the agent skills and whatnot. But again, I needed something small. If I needed to do that in the old days with Power Apps and whatnot, it's a 6 months project to never see the light of the day. This was built over a weekend, right?
Had you not had the weekend or agents or Rayfin, just again, how long would that have taken you out without doing it? Just an estimate.
Not possible. Remember, right? See,
so literally impossible versus a weekend. And this is, you don't need many of those experiences to push you to wow, I need to rethink everything I'm doing. My entire company we're all rethinking how do we leverage agents to do what you did? Yeah.
Think about it this way, right? Most of us have experience working either with billion-dollar companies or working in. So my experience has been working at multinational billion-dollar companies, right? I'm used to seeing this big of a stress process, customize and whatnot. I just jammed into the skill and the logic, right? Mine performs better than theirs now. So as a company for DataCraft, a small company, we operate now at more efficiency than that. And this is going to happen. All these mid-market players that can adopt, they will leapfrog the big players. Because guess what? Everybody can do that. You still need a human operator, but the capability of semantic model and things like that kind of goes pretty far, right? So again, I don't want to talk that much about it, but again, let's talk about Rayfin. Let's talk about
I have a
Rayfin.
question.
Nikola, go ahead.
It just popped up in my head based on what you mentioned. So you built this with Rayfin over the weekend, and you mentioned that it would be impossible to do that without it. So now, for me, the question, we all agree that semantic model is the first-class citizen. There is no I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
But the question is, because you were able to do that with Rayfin in a couple of hours, let's say, does the Power BI report survive as a first-class citizen?
Mhm.
Or will it be overcome or dissolved into apps and agent answers? So that's my question.
I'll say my
Right.
honest opinion, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the question that everyone in this call is waiting to hear.
Everybody wants
the
to
way
answer.
I kind of look at it, let me just step back. Semantic model is not going anywhere. It's going to go farther.
That's clear.
Right.
That's clear. But
The backend,
after semantic model, what happens with the report? Power BI report.
I'll tell you my own experience in the company and with customers, right? If we had to build 100 reports in the old days and then one semantic model to power it, so the effort was 1,000 hours, right? We're spending 1,500 hours now, not less. But instead of building 1,000 reports or 100 reports, I'm building only 5% of them. The reason it takes 1,500 hours now, because 12 to 1,300 hours goes in making the semantic model ready for AI. Now, if your life dependent on the reports, that is going away. It is not going to be gone. There's a difference, right? Remember, we still have Excel exports. We still have SSRS. Power BI reports are not going to go away, but they are going to be a base foundation of certified reports. These are the things that kind of justifies it, right? Those will stay. Rest of it is going to be taken by two things. One is conversation and data agents, right? Because he just had a question. I just want a question answered. Don't make me go through the 200 different things. So that is going to be one. And I think Rayfin is going to take another portion of the share, that anything that had to do with action. I don't think Rayfin directly changes reports, because the truth being truth, right? Yes, Rayfins are faster to build, harder to maintain. So this is something people don't get. This is something they have to understand. SaaS is expensive to deploy, very little to manage.
We have some disagreements here as far as I can see.
Yeah, well, so I agree with you that it's easier to build. I would maybe take issue with it's harder to maintain, and that's maybe an area where I would kind of I'm going to challenge you there. And in my experience, it has not been harder to maintain, but maybe I'm missing something you're not seeing, or you're seeing something I don't see yet.
Think about this. It's not harder to maintain. It's not the right word. It's the higher cost of maintenance. Power BI report, when it deploys between different things, is Microsoft's thing for it to work. Backward compatibility, Mac, Windows, and whatnot. I built my app on what's like a charm or like a Chrome. Open that on Edge, it's a nightmare.
Yep, sure. That's because it's Edge.
I did not prompt it to test on Edge.
Well, again, so I understand your point. So I like where you're going with things. I'm going to really, I like what you're going after there, but even still, the amount of hours, think about what you did though. You are going through like
net positive. Don't get me wrong. It's not net. It's net positive.
No, I agree, but I'm saying like, and I think I want to go on what Nikola is saying here too about the Power BI side. I don't think it's going away. I think there's a very solid place for it. Do I want to spend the time to click all of the menus and the properties and the settings inside a report when I'm building?
Remember,
and I think
the question is the report going away or not? How am I building is a separate question. I'm using AI to build it.
So the question is just, is report going away?
I don't think report's going away.
I mean, for me, I'll be very, very direct. So for me today, who is building reports by clicking inside Power BI desktop on menus? Sorry, I have bad news. You are obsolete.
Well,
No,
Nicola,
I would say,
I will throw something into the chat here. So technically, I do agree with you. And what I'm thinking about here is how things have evolved over time. Obviously, we don't print out reports on dot matrix printers anymore. We don't use SSRS, etc. So there's a natural evolution to this. However, much of what AI brings in a Fabric and Power BI environment, lots of organizations cannot adopt because of data sovereignty. So, for example, to utilize Copilot, you have to enable your data residency existing outside of, for example, for us here, the UK and Europe, which some organizations, especially—
That's a fair point. That's absolutely fair point. Absolutely fair point. So, yeah.
So I do agree, and I think that there is a rush, and what we see around us, because we're in this ecosystem, is everybody using these tools to build amazing projects. So I totally agree with that, and I'm all for it. I'm on that bus. Okay, but there are going to still be lots and lots of organizations that have to play catch up, and that's where I don't see this going away. At least in the short term, Microsoft are doing a lot for local and sovereign AI, especially in Foundry. So watch that space for data sovereignty. But with what we know today, I think that people in those environments are still safe for a while.
Yeah, that is one thing that Leon mentioned, which is exactly true, the pace of adoption. Another thing is, I would say, like, there are two types of users for Power BI. Those who are like us. We are going to build our reports. Now AI helps us, so why should we go inside Power BI desktop to go and build our reports? Let's get the agents to do that. It might build PBIR, or we might build a Rayfin project with like TypeScript frontend. Doesn't really matter. We probably go with the TypeScript frontend because like the licensing of that for the user would be much easier as well. So in that essence, PBIR or Power BI report might not have really that bright future. Semantic model would remain, but we might have like a front end of TypeScript. However, for those group of users who are like self-service users, these are people who just want to do data exploration. They want to dig into their finance data or whatever, and they might still use Power BI report to do that, right? I think that would still remain like that for a few years, at least, even with that AI, although they can go and ask AI to like what I have in my data, things like that. But I think that capability of looking at it themselves, that would stay there. It would be a smaller group of people, of course, not the larger audience for the report. The larger audience of the report might be fine with that TypeScript front end, especially because it helps with that licensing as well. But that a smaller group of self-service, I think that would still, for a few years at least, remain with PBIR. My other question is that I tried to read the comments at the same time as doing this. I couldn't do that. Like, Mike, how you are going to do? How are you doing this multitasking at the same time?
Maybe I have an agent somewhere. No, actually, I don't actually. I'm actually listening here and I'm responding there. My brain splits into two, and I can like go fast and do two things at once. So yeah, I'm trying to like monitor the video here and also add comments over there.
Reza, the answer is simple. He's not listening to us.
I'm done with you guys.
The content's more interesting.
Well, I like a lot of what your comments are here, and I think we have to build with this stuff. I think it's going. What I will say is, I think if Rayfin is designed in a way that allows if the skills are right, if the tooling gets dialed in, right? These are some, I think, big conditions here, right? Nikola, you're going to come out with some amazing things with building with Rayfin. Reza, you're going to come out with some amazing blogs. How do I incorporate your knowledge, gentlemen, into my Rayfin projects? How do I pull that in? Leon's got this great skills library. How do I bolt that stuff in and leverage it, right? So at the end of the day, the harness is a plug and play module around the agent. The output is Rayfin. And so in my mental picture right now, I'm looking at this going, Rayfin is giving me all the bells and whistles of what Power BI can't do. There's a lot of limitations around what Microsoft has built. One visual has one data query. That's it. That's all you get. And with Rayfin, I can build many data queries that support the same visual. So, anything that we had a problem with, I can now easily say Rayfin's the answer. The other side of this is I don't want agents to generally run to produce visuals and answers for me every time I ask the question or every time I load the report. So, Nikola, back to your question. I want agents to help me create the thing, because then I can run it on quote unquote commodity hardware. It's already well known, it's extremely optimized, and it's very cheap to run. I don't want agents chewing every time someone opens a report. That's a very bad waste of my tokens, and I don't like that. So everything I build is try to figure out how do I leverage the agent to reason about the information, to reason about the graphics, to build me the code, to do a lot of the laborious things that are just frustrating to me. And I think I've had a hard time sleeping, gentlemen. I don't want to sleep. I'm up at night talking to my agent on my phone saying, build this and this and this. I'm so excited about the knowledge gap between what I want to create and to what the agent can do. And so I want the agent to leverage tokens in that way. And so should every single person in the whole world get agents and start using all of them? Probably not, because you're going to, even in my team, and Leon, you probably have seen the same, not everyone understands what an agent is. What is the token window? How do you burn lots of tokens unnecessarily? What is an MCP tool? There's a lot of technical pieces that go with this. And so I think you're going to start seeing the very best technical experts start and add a lot of value with agents. And from there, we'll then be able to design very strategic areas where we can leverage a cheap agent. And so we're not there yet, but I think we're at the cusp of min-maxing token usage and really trying to rain out the best amount of value out of these agents and models, because you can give an agent to anyone and they can build something. The new challenge will be, how do I, Nikola, like you said earlier, how do I build the testing around it? How do I know what the agent built is right? That's where we have to be involved to provide those business contexts to give better prompting to get the better output. And so I want agents to build as much deterministic material as possible, because then it's very testable and it runs efficiently. And so that's where I think the real sweet spot for people to create with here is.
So this, let's say, thank you, Mike, for that. And I see all of your excitement on the AI side of things, which is amazing.
Just a little, just a little.
Yeah, just tiny little bit. Now, like we talked about, like this is going to change the future of Power BI reporting, and we are all excited about Rayfin. We are saying that let's like we can use Rayfin to go and build the backend, Fabric, front end, something else. Let's say TypeScript or whatever. Now I've had like video last evening published on my YouTube channel about Rayfin data app, and one of the questions which I think is worth discussing here is that what if people don't have Rayfin, right? They can still go and build a web application, like AI can help you do that, right? Go and build a web application that is connected to semantic model or even not semantic model, right? What if I go and build, like ask my AI to go and build a database, from that database build some queries on top of it, from that go and build a visualization. What I'm trying to say here is that what is the reason you think that we should still keep that backend in Fabric? What is the value proposition for that?
Can I take one? This one, Mike, before you go?
Yeah, no, go. This is great. I love this question, though.
Security, RLS. The reason vibe coding doesn't work outside, you have to figure out security. The simplest feature of Power BI semantic model that makes it the ace of the gun is row-level security.
Yeah.
Because you build whatever you want, the data is grounded. It's secure from a Microsoft environment perspective, single sign-on, backed by user security, who sees what. It's simple as that, at least for me. Mike, sorry, because this one I'm very opinionated about.
No, I think your opinion is actually very accurate here on this one. I would double down on your opinion as well, right? So, Reza, that's a great question. Why should the backend be Fabric? Why don't I put it in Azure? Again, going back to our point earlier, agents know how to do all of it. Agents know how to build everything you want. It's all pay as you go kind of things. There's a world where there's an agent world that's evolving. This is brand new. We don't know how to work with it. And then there's a human world. as you think about what you do as tasks in your company or as you do your workflows throughout the day, you're going to need to spend an ample more time thinking about what of my process or task can be done by agents and what of it can be done by humans. And so I'll give you one pattern I use in my business. I love doing video calls. I'm very passionate about them. I've invested a lot of information and money in like my studio and getting things ready to go. Like I want to do this. I'm good at talking with people and conveying ideas between people. I'm lousy at summarizing and providing like a task list and all these other things. So I'm doing a lot more Teams meetings, and I'm throwing agents at the output of the Teams meeting to produce summaries and notes and statement of works. And so I'm building my knowledge into a process where the agent is strategically running scripts in conjunction with reasoning about these things. And so why Fabric? Because everything lives in the same place, and it gives me the ability to go run a notebook, and I can see it physically with my eyes. I can click run it with me personally. It has a user interface, but then I can also tell my agent, hey, go update this notebook, document every cell, make sure that every parameter used in a function is corrected. And so I like this ability of having both things in a single portal that handles all the security pieces. For those of you who have not really built a lot of Rayfin things, Rayfin right now is really good when you authenticate with a user doing a sign-in to get access to like the semantic model and the SQL database behind the scenes. There's not really good usage right now to be able to create your own functions and API calls and other technical pieces. It just doesn't exist today in Rayfin. So stay tuned. I think more changes are coming in the future. But right now, Rayfin to me right now is really relegated to building reports with really rich experiences and doing some read and write back into that report. Again, if I had a show of hands here, who likes Rayfin more than task flows, translytical task flows? I do.
Haven't got enough hands.
So, I mean, I understand why translytical task flows work. It does cobble together all the pieces, but like Rayfin is a much better read, write back experience. And so I don't need too many really big wins like that to make me say, this is the future and we're going to move forward. I'm just disappointed in the fact that Power Automate was genius. It's so good. It was just a little bit before its time. If they had built Power Automate now with like agents, I think it would have had a totally different life story now with agents. And I think agents have in my mind has totally killed the ability to need Power Automate or Power Apps for any need and at all. I just want to build my own apps myself. So we're seeing the market shift so quickly here. I think a lot of this is gut reactions. I'll maybe pose a question back to the team here, just so I'll shut up and stop talking because I have a lot of words. Has anyone else dealt with but I'm a coder mentality, but I write code, that's my career? There's a bit of a identity crisis happening for really rich developers. Have you felt it, or have you heard people talk about it? Let me ask that question.
I probably can talk about it because like, if you've attended my sessions or things like that, you know that I love programming at heart. Like whenever I talk about Power Query in my sessions and I go into that advanced editor and type M script myself, people say, well, you can do that in UI. And I say, well, I know I can do that in UI, but I love to do it in programming. I love writing code. Here is one thing about it, like from my point of view, I love coding, I love writing codes and programs. Now, the thing is that I can write those areas that I want. There are a lot of like areas that is like repetitive task. Now I want to convert it to a function. Now I want to put it in a module. And this evolved throughout the years. Like in Visual Studio, you had this ability to like refactor it, build it into a function, all of that. Now AI takes that to the next level, right? I can talk about like go and build it using this, go and like even vibe code it, go and use this this style in your programming, but don't really write it myself, but I'm still navigating it, I'm still directing it. So from my point of view, from someone's point of view who is a programmer, I'm fine with that, right? I don't feel that my curiosity or my interest in programming is like totally vanished. It is even more satisfied, I think, with this vibe coding.
Yeah, totally agree. I spend a lot of time with developers, and everybody is, I want to say, enabled by it. Everyone's excited. And Mike, to your point earlier, and some conversations we were having before we came live, it's probably the best and the worst thing for people like us who are builders, because now we have everything required to overbuild, and most of the AI models will let you overbuild as well and continue into the next phase or next milestone or next goal, depending on what harness you're using. So I think that lots of developers, at least pro developers that I speak with and in my interactions, are very, very excited. Back to the earlier point, it's an accelerator. Now you're not building one report a week, you're building 5 reports a week, for example, or not one application a month, 2 or 3 applications a month, for example. So everybody's very excited about it. But just to circle back around to that original point, I think that there's lots of areas that haven't been covered off yet from an impact perspective. Like you say, the vast majority of us here who are using it to develop probably feel a lot tireder than we did when we were actually using our mental energy to develop. So
I would agree.
There's lots of areas to explore on that.
Yeah. There's Leon, I love what you're saying there. There's a video game effect of something that's happening here. I love video games. I don't know if you guys do too. And there's always this moment of like, you're trying to build something or create anything. I love it, like defensive tower kind of games. And so there's always this moment in the game where it's like, oh, I did it. We got it. Next level. Like I bought the thing. I got the defense done. Like, to me, what agents are doing for me is it's giving me that hit of adrenaline faster than I was with coding. And you've all had this experience. You build something in hard and code. You've been struggling for 4 days, and all of a sudden you have that moment of success, and it's a win. And you're like, family, people, check it out. I just built this. And they're like, I don't care what you're talking. Like, I have no joy. They don't understand the joy of that moment of success that you've had with building that hard code thing. And so for me, I feel like this
Call
agent
me
thing.
Next time. Call me next time.
Okay. Nikola, I'll call you.
I can feel your excitement.
But no one understands that joy of like the super, like, I just transformed this 100 million row table into something that's usable now. And like, yeah, you're so excited about it, but no one gets that energy that's coming out of there.
One important thing that you guys forget: we don't need to write comments and documentation anymore.
Oh, thank goodness.
I want to say something to that.
I would like to do that.
There's one thing I want to say specifically to the comments and documentation. So I got this. I don't know whether Reza caught into this, right? I don't type anymore.
Oh, right? You're touching on some really deep notes here, man.
I don't type anymore.
Talk to the mic and it transcribes it now.
I use Whisper Flow, right? So I saw something yesterday, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm 0.01. I am not 1% or 5%. I'm the 0.01% of the world in Whisper Flow.
Yeah.
I spoke 145,000 words in the month of June.
Wow.
The reason is, if you ask AI to do something, it's going to produce slop. Because me asking you, Reza asking you, and whatnot, no difference. If you give it the same prompt, it'll give you the 95% same answer because it's trained on the same thing. On the point of documentation, I write documentation first before I code now.
Ooh.
The reason I say that is I will sit there and be like, I am essentially writing an essay or like a book almost. I want this happen.
I like this.
Happen. I'll give it a goal, but then it's like, well, the cases, I'm going to offload my thoughts, right? What happens is, Nikola is right. We don't write documentation or comments anymore because we do that front end and we're talking to it. It will write most of its documentation on its own. But like, I want this feature. And the part is, see, I will never write as good a model optimization as Reza or Nikola. What's going to happen by the end of the year, I'm putting pressure on you, Reza and Nikola, they're going to give you skills on model best practices and optimizations. You're going to be able to call Reza skill or whatnot. That means everything you build will be functioning at what Reza, Nikola, Marco, right?
Don't use my skill. It's not going to be very good. It's going to be very scattered and probably it's going to burn too many tokens. It's going to talk too much. So don't use my skill.
But think about this,
my
right? We
skill
are all
probably
gonna-
would be coding fanatic. Wouldn't really. Sorry to interrupt, Khaled.
But again, like that's kind of my thought process. Right? We have to give it a lot more context, but we are willing to do that because after that build is small, the prep stage has gotten longer. Because if you miss the prep stage, it is gonna build something way far than what you wanted, right?
Yeah,
So I
agree.
that's kind of one of my thing about documentation and whatnot. And I think about this way, right? Like people are throwing, like, remember, I've created PowerBI.tips and whatnot. If you haven't figured out, my pillar of success is failure. I mean, I am perfectly fine at failing and going on, right? Like fabric planning and all the stuff that's going on. But again, I built a website. I don't know how shit about building websites.
Now you do. But this is the thing that I think is really interesting here. Ask the agent, hey, I don't know what to do here. What do you think? What makes sense to you? And I think, and again, one of the things I think is an underrated skill here for anything agentic, regardless, is ask the agent. Tell it to teach you things. When you don't know something, ask to push into it. Go into plan mode. Do a lot more communication with the agent. The amount of things I'm learning directly around app development, CI/CD, GitHub. GitHub's my new social media website now, dude. I love GitHub. I'm following everyone's repo. I'm checking everything out there. This is really exciting for me to like now leverage agents at this stuff. And I'm now getting information overload with everything. I can't even keep it all in my head. I've got to lean more on the agent, ask it, and tell it to teach me how to do things.
Yeah. I think we are way over time already. So let maybe wrap up. I think from that perspective, for me, the idea is Power BI loading data has a lot more options. Semantic model becomes a bigger star. The front end Power BI report not going away, but how we build it will change.
Yes.
We're going to have two more outputs, which is one is Rayfin that we already have. And the other one, bigger one, is going to be the agentic conversation, where you're not even talking to the model. Your agent is talking to the model itself. So this is the conversation with data. That's my thought process. I will leave the last words to each one of you. So maybe Leon, we start with you. Leon.
Yeah, Leon, let's go to Leon and work our way back up.
He's the gentleman that's been waiting to speak.
No problem at all. First and foremost, thanks everybody. Absolutely super interesting conversation. Great points. We could have talked for another 3 hours, but to summarize this, for me, the time is now. For developers who are worried, concerned, what the next steps are, it's just a natural progression. We've been here before. We've all spoke about progressions and evolutions over our careers. This is the next natural one. So circling back to how you took those approaches previously, what skills are relevant? We've all suggested that potentially being a technical expert, and I'm treading lightly on this, I want to spark another conversation, is something that's not as much of a superpower, let's say, as it used to be. And potentially the business skills, stakeholder management, driving value with solutions are non-technical skills that you should be looking to put at the forefront. But stay active, stay eager, keep learning, and be excited is probably what I would say.
I love those points. I'll double down on those as we go backwards here. Love this. Learn now. Now's the time. You're at a very interesting change in the market at this point. Those who will be successful in the next 5 or 10 years, the next batch of skills will all be focused around, do you understand agents? Do you know how to wield them? And can you build custom harnesses, workloads, and flows with them in mind? I think that's going to be the future. We're going to get to a place where we're going to be optimizing how they run, but the models are only getting better. The harnesses are only getting better. And it's continually absorbing more and more human knowledge in to make these tools very useful for you. So just start playing with it. Get your hands on things. Make sure you're starting to get educated and move into this space. Because if you don't do it now, other people are going to take your job or do things for you, and they're going to come in and they're going to be out pacing you because they've spent the time earlier to learn. Better to start now and then look back 6 months and say, wow, I'm glad I started learning this because now it's being able to be used in my day-to-day workflow. Nikola, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Absolutely. So 100% agree with both yours and Leon's here stances. So learning, that's your biggest asset. Like we had in the past to learn different things when it comes. So we are now talking specifically about Power BI. So remember what Power BI used to be in 2015 and how many new things you had to learn since 2015 up until now. Now the only difference is that changes are happening way faster and have way bigger impact than they used to have. So what Leon and Mike mentioned, learning, stay curious and try to leverage these new learnings in your day-to-day job. So with that in mind, don't stress too much about tool itself, about Power BI as a tool itself. Try to leverage these new skills in what is coming in the next months, or it's already been there. So yeah, that's for me. Reza.
Thank you. Yeah, I would say don't get panicked. It is the age of AI. We all feel that it is going to replace us. It would replace you if you don't follow along with it, right? Like exactly what Mike, Nikola, and Leon, like everyone mentioned here. If you want to learn new skills, your best new skills these days would be how to use agents, how to use AI combined with all these data objects, with Fabric, with Power BI, because that is going to help you to build faster, to build more efficient. You need to learn how to put harness around this, how to add your skills. This is something that you need to learn. If you don't do that, exactly like what Mike mentioned, someone else is going to have that skill and that would replace you, right? So it's not AI that is going to replace you. It is not incorporating these new skills that this new modern world needs.
Love it. The revolution's here. It's not about the skill. It's about you learning, moving forward, and you want to do this now. There is one urgency I would say that a lot of, I don't know about how you guys think about it, is the tokens are really cheap right now. Before it gets expensive, learn how to use them.
More expensive.
It would go more and more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So with that, thank you everyone for joining us.